As soon as I open it, roaches. To where when I walked in the house,
did you scream?
You don't know my life, bro.
Welcome back to Econix Talks, guys.
When I pop up, everybody gonna be like, man, overnight success.
Lifestyle topics, entrepreneurship, and investing.
Are you serious about this? Because if you are, then I'm willing to back the business.
We want to inform you, educate you, and empower you so that you can maximize your life. Let's get started. What's up, everybody? I want to give a huge shout out to all the new supporters that have joined us this year, and I can never forget my day one, so shout out to y'all too. As most of you guys know, running an independent podcast takes a ton of time and energy. Now, if you ever benefited from an episode of this show or mini episodes and you'd like to support, you can do that by buying us a coffee. You can reach that by the support link in the show notes, or if you're following me or Econix on Instagram, it'll be in the link in the bio. And this will be used to cover any expenses that come with the show. I appreciate everything you guys have done, and this has been such a fulfilling year. Now, on to this episode. Welcome back to another episode of Econix Talks, guys. Today we have Gilene Janvier from Suncoast Credit Union. She is the manager of their micro developmental enterprise at Suncoast, and she's actually, her specialty is small business, man. She's been able to get $7.2 million in microloans for small businesses. So welcome to the podcast, Gilene, and we are so happy to have you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I have the privilege of overseeing our micro enterprise development program at Suncoast Credit Union. I actually spearheaded it back in 2019, and it is definitely here to serve the community, the small business community in particular, with not only gaining access to capital, which is why people knock on our doors, but to also understand what it means to operate a business. Right. How do you step away from being the employee of your business, the main employee of your business, to actually operating a business where it can grow and scale?
And I want to get into that in a second. But first, I also want to talk about just what inspired you. Obviously, you have a deep commitment to the community, and you've been doing this for a while. So when people are typically in these types of industries for a while, especially on the communal side or the community side of things, you have a real passion for this. So this ain't no fake thing that you ain't doing this for on the side. Like, no, this is your passion. So what has kind of inspired your commitment to eradicating poverty in marginalized communities?
Awesome. Well, I believe that I am a product of a marginalized community. My parents are Haitian immigrants, and I went to predominantly low-performing schools, but I had people who were in the community who showed love, who showed compassion, and it's just innate that I do the same and give back to the community in a variety of ways. I began my career in education, and I'm still educating. It's just at a deeper level where we're really impacting our economy by providing dollars to help businesses employ other people, help families, and really help our community prosper.
So, and you obviously have a background in education, so you've been teaching for a minute. So what is that experience how's that translated over into this part of the world? You do the same thing, but like you said, at a deeper level. So how did that transition happen?
Awesome. Well, teaching students in a classroom is very impactful. You really get to not only understand that student and customize the learning based on what's important to them and how they learn, but when you educate from a program perspective, you're just educating more people. And so you can think about it as your business. Maybe you have one or two clientele that you're servicing, but as you continue to grow, you continue to scale. Let's say you have that first location, then you gain that second location, then you gain that third location. Now you're impacting just schools of communities. And so it's pretty much the same thing, again, in the classroom, helping 30 bodies at a time versus now where, we can impact thousands of people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I know you said that you manage the micro enterprise development program. Can you share the origin of how this came to be and just kind of how you've had an impact on the small business community here in the Bay Area?
Of course, Suncoast Credit Union is the largest CDFI in the nation. And through that CDFI, we were able to create this program. And it's really a business center as well as a product. And the last part of it is a partnership with a national microlender lift fund. But basically, through our Business Innovation and Solution Center, we are able to connect with the SBDCs, Prospera, Operation Hope, different agencies that support small businesses when it comes to how do you cash flow? How do you hire? When should you hire? How do you protect your businesses? How do you knock on the door of financial institutions and ask for capital? So they teach you how to manage and operate the business, how to grow the business, how to develop the business. And so we enjoy partnering up with those agencies to teach our members how to do that. And then when they are ready, they can access capital. They have the opportunity to apply for $500, as little as $500, up to $50,000. And they can use it for equipment, inventory, line of credit. They can use it to purchase a vehicle for their business. And really what makes this product unique is that we do have reasonable rates. Of course, we're a credit union. And so people know us for our lower rates. We are a not-for-profit cooperative where we do not have stakeholders like banks typically do, but we are member-owned. So every member is basically an owner of the credit union. And so with that capital, again, our business owners are able to get that capital injection and help their businesses. With the microloan, we do look at newer businesses. And so typically, if you're trying to get a loan, financial institutions will want you to be in business for at least 3 years, or they will have a certain gross revenue threshold that they want you to cross. We don't have any of that at all. Have you been in business for a year, preferably, and how can we support you?
That's awesome. And I love that you guys give just the regular person who's really trying to bootstrap their business a real shot to make this thing happen. So obviously you have a wealth of knowledge and a ton of experience working with small businesses. And you've mentioned a few things that you guys help educate business owners on. But just based on your experience, what do you believe is crucial for a business owner to kind of develop to help, gain those positive revenue results that everybody's trying to get?
Awesome. I would say a lot of businesses, when they get started, they are so motivated and they are, working really hard. They have their head buried in the sand and they're just going at it. Yep. And just understanding that you're not alone. Do not live in an island all by yourself. You have an ecosystem that's really there to support you. So your banker, your accountant, your lawyer, your small business consultant. Let's say if you partner with the SBDC or your SCORE mentor, you have an ecosystem of people who are there to support you. And so I would say that is the number one advice that I would give to small businesses. Tap into your network, tap into that to entrepreneurial support organizations because they're in the know. They've seen it a million times. They know the steps that you need to take. They have seen the mistakes that people have already made and have those lessons learned. And you don't have to do it alone. You really do have support. And a second piece to that is networking. And so if you have your head buried in the sand, you're only thinking about your business, you're not thinking about that wealth of network that you can tap into when you need different resources or just information. Yep. And so by connecting with those entrepreneurial support organizations, you will start to build a network of other businesses that are tapping into them. And that can only help your business move further with just information and knowledge and tips and tricks to help you really not make expensive mistakes.
Yep. And that's so real. I can't even express just how many hurdles I've been able to, navigate through just by being around different entrepreneurs. And so y'all, she not lying because when it gets rough, I tell people all the time, enthusiasm is common, but endurance is rare. So when you go on this entrepreneurship journey, you got to have a long-term game in mind. You have to have that long-term vision because there are going to be challenges. There are going to be setbacks. And so, not all the time is it going to go your way. You might come up short some months, but you just got to keep going because that's literally the difference between the person who succeeds and the person who really has that breakthrough. Because if you don't allow yourself to go through those, business cycles, then you can't learn how to navigate through, an up season, a down season, and what other products can you create to offset some of those slower seasons in your business. So just so many different things. So girl, you dropping game. You dropping game, girl. You dropping game. And
well,
another thing, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I want to piggyback on, some of the insights that you just dropped. You just dropped some jewels too. You talked about a vision. Well, we know that when you have a vision, you have to write it down and make it plain, right?
Yep.
And so I would encourage businesses to have their vision written down in what we call a business plan. And so you should, as a business owner, have several different plans, whether it's a business plan, a financial plan, a business continuity plan, a marketing plan, a strategic plan. Those are 5 plans that you should consider having. And again, you don't have to do it by yourself. It does not have to be very expensive because you have a support system that can really help you really write down that vision, and you have a compass now. So when you're trying to navigate, the low seasons, the high seasons, what should you do then? And, when those things happen, you have that marketing strategy that can help you out. You know what I mean? If that hurricane comes and you have to shut your business down, you have that business continuity plan. You have all of those resources to help you navigate. And the beauty about planning is, when they say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yep. It's the same thing with your business. If it is in your head and not on paper and a crisis happens, then you're not going to think about it. You may forget, but if it's written down, you have that space to go and say, okay, let me look at my compass. I thought I knew where the direction was, but I got lost. Let me look at that compass to get me back on track. Right. And so that's what I just wanted to piggyback on what you said about the vision and making it plain, writing it down, and having those different plans in place for your business.
Yeah, for sure. And having that game plan, without intent, you can't have any energy. And so just like anything, if you want to lose weight, you got to have a game plan for it. If you want to learn how to cook, you got to have a game plan for it. I don't care what you do in life, anything you want. So what that does, and all she's talking about, y'all, is very simple. When you have a game plan and something goes left, your game plan may have to shift, but you have a rule of operation. So you know how to handle, you have contingency plans. Okay, well, what do I do if this doesn't work out this way? You have a contingency plan for that. And so when you start to go through business and the deeper you get into your business, the more strategies you uncover to actually make income. But it only comes through trial and error. Like that's it. Like it only comes through trial and error. So the deeper you get into your business, the more you learn about your industry, whatever industry that is, you're going to run into different hurdles. And those hurdles are you're going to either fail or you're going to grow through those hurdles. And that's going to be the difference between your success and then that next level of whatever you're trying to achieve. So, man, I like you, Gilene. Thank you so much for that answer. The next question I have for you, on a personal note, how has, your background in education about, financial literacy helped you out in your own personal life? I know you talked about being an immigrant. My dad was an immigrant to this country as well. So I know how that goes. So talk to me. How has that impacted your personal life?
Sure. Well, I will say that, again, family of immigrants, but through that did not deter the motivation and the determination to, graduate from high school. That's a feat all in itself for anybody, right? To graduate from high school, to go on to college, to graduate college, to start a career, to, get secondary education. But all of those things come into finance and really helping you just plan out, where you spend your dollars, where you invest, how you set yourself up for retirement. I think I was very lucky in that I had people, even when I was a classroom teacher, teachers would say, hey, make sure you get a 403B, or, again, in the corporate environment, make sure you get a 401k, right? Just setting yourself up for those types of things.
And you know what? I know a lot of, I've actually had quite a few teachers on that have gone to do businesses or have gotten out of teaching, but have translated those skill sets into other professions. And so I always tell people, I'm like, just because you're in the education field doesn't mean you can't go out here and make no money, because there's a lot of private industries or just different industries where those skill sets are so transferable, and you can still educate people just on something different. It doesn't always have to be, algebra 1 or algebra 2, but you can take those same skill sets and then you can dive deeper into, something that's impactful for the community. Just like you said, like you're able to help these small businesses.
And being an educator is like a training ground. You learn so many different skills. You learn how to wear multiple hats. All at once. You're a therapist for your students sometimes. You're that boot camp drill sergeant sometimes. If you're in the classroom, you are that mother sometimes. You're that educator. So you wear many different hats. You're not only working with the students, you're that conflict resolution person because you're helping students with each other. You're that researcher digging into the data to figure out where the students are and where they need to be, and coming up with a strategy to help them get there. So there's many different skill sets that you learn in the classroom, not only working with those students individually, but with their parents, but with administrators with the school district, with different federal and state laws that you might have to abide by. And so again, that is where I respect all teachers, and it's commendable for someone to be in the classroom and educate our future. It's such a great career and profession.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So can you do me a favor? I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but can you really break down the difference between how a bank operates and how the credit union operates, and just the different audiences that they serve and how impactful you guys are to a specific type of community? I'll let you go and take that whole thing. You got it.
Sure, of course. Well, with the credit union, we are a not-for-profit cooperative. And so that means that when we make a profit, it goes back to the members. And you see that through higher dividends, lower interest rates. And so people know us a lot for, let's say, our car rates. They love coming to our car sales when we have it, because they see that right now we have a promotion where it's a 5% CD. So go ahead and get that if you're trying to save. And so we have those different types of promotions or different types of products because, again, our goal is it's not for profit. The profit goes back to the member to provide the reasonable rates that we do. And we also have different principles that we go by, and education is one of them. And so many different credit unions will have programs designed to specifically educate their members. So we have a huge effort in providing financial literacy to our students in the schools, after school programs. We also teach adults with our educational series about, buying a house. We teach our members about retirement and different investments. We also have workplace banking, where we go into the business and teach the employees of employers personal finance. And then you have the Business Innovation and Solution Center that teaches businesses technical assistance. And so being part of a credit union, a lot of it has to do with education, and we do a lot of that, whether it's virtually, face-to-face. We even have a e-learning tool called Empower on our website that you can just learn self-paced, whenever you're ready to. It's available 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365. So that is a big part of being a credit union.
Thank you so much for that. So, y'all, what she's meaning is she's provided all of the resources to go learn the basic principles about business. And so that's why I'm harping on this education piece so much, because at the end of the day, the resources are out there for us. You know, she's got a whole bank behind her saying, hey, y'all, we're going to make sure that we give out these tools and these resources necessary to get us to the next level. But if we don't read it, if we don't take the time to, you know, go online and take advantage of these programs, y'all, like everything's out there. So if you want to learn how to do a business plan or you don't know where to start, there are resources, especially for small business owners. That way you can get walked through a process like that, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna just be honest with you, Gilene. You know, when you start a business, nobody goes and teaches you how to, you know, look at a P&L statement, or a lot of people don't even know that that's even a thing. You know, a lot of people don't even know what risk management is or how to assess your own risk. And so just these little principles that a lot of them can be found in a training session that you might go to for an hour outside of your day. Like, it don't have to take a lot of time.
Right. You know, I say be proactive. And a lot of times, again, people knock on our door looking for capital, but business lending is a process. And so it's
Preach on that. Tell
it's
them.
a process. And so you definitely want to be proactive. I say, see me when you don't want financing, because that way we can, you know, set you up for success, so that if you don't know what a P&L is, if you don't know what your balance sheets look like, we can support you and point you in the right direction. If you don't have that business plan written, that's great, because now you have time to write it down. You're not pressed where you're like, oh my goodness, I need, you know, $10,000 for X, Y, and Z, you know, but I don't have this business plan written. And so I say definitely be proactive and foster that relationship between you and your banker. You should have a business banker. You should have an accountant. You should have an attorney. You should have some type of business mentor that focuses not necessarily on your craft, which is important too. So it is important to have someone who's been there, done that, and they can mentor you. But it's also important to have someone like the SBDC or SCORE that can help you operationally understand your business.
Right. What's up, Econix fam? It's Josh checking in. I want to quickly dive into something crucial, your financial peace. So picture this: comfortable conversations about your budget that actually makes sense, life insurance that's not a headache, and managing your debt without all of the confusion. Well, that's exactly how I intend to serve all of you. So if you'd like to connect and begin your journey towards financial freedom, well, just tap the link in the show notes to schedule a meeting and we'll chat. I'm really excited to show you how I can earn your business. And now on to the show. And I know you mentioned, you know, obviously resource wise, but can you speak to just some of the myths and some of the truths as it pertains to lending? Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions about there. You know, everybody want money, right? Everybody, I want a dollar. Help me scale in business. So can you give the back end of that? How does that process truly work?
Sure. And let's take it down to the bare minimum about any type of lending, right? If I ask you for $50 to borrow $50, what are you going to make your decision based on?
Based on what, if I have it, am I able to pay it back?
Ooh, ding, 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 ding. So no matter what type of loan it is, the key question is, can you pay it back? And when you're looking for a loan, typically they're asking for information to help answer that question. And so they will look at your credit score, because your credit score indicates how well you've paid other people back. And so if there's a history of not paying people back, then that's going to hurt your chances in getting an approval, right? Having that vision, you know, if you have a business plan, it gives I don't want to say illusion, but it makes you seem more serious. Like you actually took the time and you wrote down your vision and the market analysis and the pricing and your structure, that it takes time and it takes effort. And it just shows like a level of professionalism and seriousness when you have that versus when you don't have that. And so again, there's just so many factors that come into play when it comes to whether or not you are bankable. Do you have collateral? So if something happens and you can't pay back, is there a way to recoup some of the funding? Do you have capital? What has been your skin in the game? So if you're asking for $25,000 and we've asked you how much you've invested and you've said $150, does that does that make sense?
Right.
And so again, you just we not just Suncoast, most financial institutions look at all of those things: collateral, capital, credit, your character. Are you omitting important information on your application or just blatantly lying on your application, right? Yeah. Do you have experience in what you're trying to do? Because if you've never done it before, how do we know that you'll succeed versus someone who's, been in that industry for 10 years and can do it with their eyes closed? And so there's no one size fits all. Business lending is very gray, and it is very individualized and personalized.
Right. And so what I want to say to you is just a follow-up question to that. Obviously, you go through the lending process and that whole aspect of it. But when would you say that a bank or a business is ready for the lending process? Like, at what point should a business say, okay, we're ready? What should it have in place?
I would say, if you can answer that question that we talked about, right? If I'm going to borrow, the first question that I should ask myself is, can I pay it back? Is my business making enough revenue to pay this back? Or am I making enough revenue to pay that back? Right? If I want to purchase a vehicle, I'm unemployed, I have no savings. When that first installment comes in, that first bill comes in, how am I going to pay it? There's a high probability that you won't. And so if you have a business and you're not generating profits, that is where you say, okay, let me create a strategic plan and come up with different ideas on how to generate revenue or different streams of revenues to build up my clientele, to build up my business. That's when you come up with that marketing plan and decide, am I going to do some ads? Am I going to have a website? Is it going to be word of mouth? Am I going to have a loyalty program? Right? So that's why those plans are so important, because it can really help you look at the landscape of your business and help you make decisions on where you should go and what you should do. It really helps you put one foot in front of the other when it comes to your goals and objectives.
Thank you so much. Right. You right. You right. Now, I would like for you to speak on, because this process can be very intimidating, right? Going into a bank, going into an institution that's like, oh, they know all of this stuff and they going to think I don't know anything. I need to speak to, how would you advise someone to kind of overcome that part of it and begin to build that banker-client relationship so that way they can feel easier about that process? Where would they start with building that relationship?
Well, definitely know that financial institutions love to lend out. So they want to lend, right? That is why they're there. They want to lend. So definitely know that. I would say keeping your relationships consistent, right? I have members that I've been working with for years who, will reach out and, ask to meet. We'll have an update about their business. And sometimes we can brainstorm. Sometimes they're just giving me an update. And I might say, oh, you know what? I heard about this. You should just go check this out. Or just different things like that. So I recommend setting up appointments, actually staying true to those appointments. So again, that level of professionalism, making sure that you show up where you say you're going to show up.
Can you speak to that some more, please? Because a lot of people, I don't think people understand that the value of keeping your word is still so impactful to a relationship, because at the end of the day, that is the relationship. If you can't, keep your word, why are you in business? And that's what, and when Gilene is speaking to these types of relationships, if you set an appointment with her and you say you're going to be there at 11 a.m., show up, be there, because the minute you don't, they know you aren't serious, because the person who takes their business serious will show. And I guarantee you, because there are a lot of people who do look for funding, I guarantee you there's a person who shows up on time and there's a person who doesn't. And the person who does it gets angry because you didn't bend the rules for them. I know it's happened.
Well, I'll say that, it's great when you get updates and you see what people actually do. They follow up. For example, I've had members where I've just based on our conversation, I create business development plans for members that I talk to. And I'm going to say, okay, this is, I know where Z is, your ultimate goal, and we're at A. So here, let's do A, B, C, and D so that, you can get closer to Z. And I love getting those updates and say, yeah, I did, B, and this is how B is going. And I did C, and this is how C is going. That's where you kind of keep that relationship going, because once you're done with D, then you can move on and get closer, right? To, again, the goalpost. And so I think being consistent with those types of relationships, contacting your banker a couple of times throughout the year, is beneficial, even after you get the loan, because what will happen is if your business continues to grow, you will probably come back and need a bigger loan. So maybe the first time you received a business loan, it was to improve your leasehold, right? You got a lease, you wanted to change things up inside of the building, and you needed a loan for leasehold improvements. But now you're at a place where you want to purchase your first commercial real estate property. And so again, it's just really great to have that relationship so the banker understands your business and can then provide you with the right product for you or different opportunities that you might find valuable.
Thank you. And thank you for explaining that. And that's actually a great segue. Would you mind sharing, if you can, just a memorable success story of a client that you've been able to work with and that you've been able to have a real impact through your work in their life?
Oh my goodness. We have a lot of great success stories on different levels. And so I would say, let me start with one that has not yet been able to gain access to capital. But when we started working with their particular business, the credit score was really low. And there were different, again, steps that were recommended to take to help their business out. And this particular business ended up refinancing a vehicle and ended up saving $300 a month as a result of that. And their credit score grew over 100 points based on, again, just the conversations, right? We know where Z is. Mm-hmm. You're at A. What steps do we need to take? So it was great understanding that, wow, they're actually taking in the advice and they're moving towards their goals. So that's a success story, that we have. We've had other success stories where, capital was injected. Let's say this happens a lot. Members get contracts and need the capital in order to fulfill that contract. And we're able to inject that capital, and they're able to fulfill that work and therefore get bigger contracts and more contracts. And so that's always beneficial as well when members get what they need, and it just helps them get to the next level. I really love seeing that happen.
Right. And that's honestly one of the most rewarding things about any service industry. You know, the money we make is great. Obviously, everybody has to make a living, but the impact that you leave on, other people's lives, and you're able to transfer that information and transfer the skill sets that you've been able to develop on your own, and then hand that back. And then now we can start tackling this generational wealth gap, making sure that, we put a dent in this thing. I don't know if it's possible to eradicate poverty, but I know we can do something to definitely improve it. There's a lot of work that can be done to educate the community on how we can build generational wealth and what things can little small decisions that can be taken that are super impactful to our grandkids and our grandkids, just small little things.
Yeah, of course, because when that business gets its first, contract, and, as a result of that capital, they're able to get 3 more contracts. Now they need to hire, 2 more bodies. And that is helping 2 families that maybe would not have had a job opportunities. And, some of those families have children, right? So you're supporting families by supporting businesses because they're able to hire, they're able to retain their employees. So I would also say that, if you're an entrepreneur, you should have a mindset of continuously learning, have a lifelong learning mindset, because things change and evolve, and business practices have to also stay in step with some of the changes that occur in just society as a whole. Let's look at what's happening in Las Vegas with the casino, and just how a $34 billion company is being impacted by a cyber attack. A few years ago, we partnered with Cyber Florida, and they had a workshop, and it was a simulation about, a cyber attack and how business owners would react to that. It was a phenomenal workshop. And my only regret is that we didn't have more people, in the room. And, so when you see a workshop like cybersecurity, why should I don't need that. I have a barbershop, or no, you should go ahead and attend those types of workshops, because the landscape is different. And yes, they went after a large corporation, but really the low hanging fruit are those smaller businesses. Yep. And so just again, knowing what's happening in the times to help your business continue to thrive. So in that business continuity plan, having, steps on how to combat cyber, attacks, let's say, could be something you can do for your businesses. Right now, the big thing is AI.
Yep.
How are you going to use AI to enhance the services that you offer in the product delivery, right? So there's so many different changes in the environment. We're not competing just locally, we're competing globally. So just having an eye on what is happening in the world, staying up with current events, it's really important that you just have important relationships and just know what's happening and how that impacts your business.
Yeah. And thank you so much for that answer. So I'm going to shift over to the final part of this interview, Ms. Gilene, and I want to do my Econix question. So this is all about you. So I got rapid fire questions for you, nothing crazy.
Okay.
The first question for you is, what would you title this chapter in your life?
This chapter in my life, what would I title? That is a deep question. I would say the word that's coming to me is just evolution. When I think, and I'm just thinking about business owners too. Business owners, we talked about the business plan, and you were talking about how to navigate And what I just mentioned was society is changing and different things are happening that will impact your business. And your business plan is a living document, and you have to always go back to that. And one of the ways you do that is by gaining information and learning. And so I would say in my life right now, it's just, again, just because you're the CEO of yourself. Mm-hmm. And I've just been gaining a lot of information about what is happening in the world, in society, in my community. And with that, there has to be evolution and change, right? Because why have the information and not do anything with it? And so I would say that's what I would title this phase in my life is evolution.
I like it. I like it. Number 2, what superpower would you have?
Ooh, so I identify as an empath. And so it is very easy for me to read energies. And sometimes I have to be careful because if someone comes in with an energy, I may take it on as myself. And then I may say, why am I feeling this way when it's really not my energy? I've just soaked up someone else's energy. So I do have to definitely safeguard, just my spirit, because I'm an empath and it's just so easy for me to, and that's been, an instrument that's been helpful to me when I can come into a room and, when they say you can read the room, I could read the room and it helps me navigate. I trust my intuition and my instincts, and it helps me navigate different conversations that I have.
Thank you.
So that's my superpower.
There you go. Thank you for that. Now, what would you invest in right now if money was not an issue?
Well, I will say, I'm an educator by heart. So anything that's going to push forward education, there's so many different platforms right now that are doing an incredible job at connecting. And I just love connecting with people too. And so connecting people who have been there, done that, with the masses to help get those jewels of information. And again, they're not paying me. I don't work for them, but a platform that I'm thinking about is Earn Your Leisure. And what they're doing with InvestFest and, Afrotech. And there's just so much exciting things that's happening throughout the nation, in our community. We have next month the Tampa Bay Business Expo, where you have a lot of great people who are going to come and speak on business. I'm really excited to be a part of that event. So that's what I would invest in. It would still be knowledge, information, in platforms like that serve the community. I would also say, if money was not an object, another fund that I would invest in is the Fearless Fund. Mm-hmm. Not only is she a fellow rattler, but right now that fund is being attacked. Of course, I'm a rattler.
Okay,
yes,
shout out HBCUs. I went to Morehouse. I'm a
rattler animal.
That's what's up.
So I would invest in that Fearless Fund because it is there to support women ventures. And yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
that's me personally.
And I love it.
Okay.
Now, 5 dinner guests. I got 5 dinner guests that are alive. Who's coming to your table? You got 5.
Ooh,
that are alive.
Wow.
Who's coming? Who's showing up?
Okay, I would say Iyanla Van Zant, Maya Angelou. I would say Tyler Perry. I would say Sojourner Truth.
Okay, let's go.
And yeah.
You got a nice table.
And Harriet Tubman. Those would be the 5 people that I would have at the table. I kind of want to say Jay-Z too.
Jay-Z would be fire.
Jay-Z would be on there too if I could, but I would love to hear Sojourner Truth, for her to just be so bold at a time where she could have felt so alone and she could have had her voice silenced, for her to be so bold during that time is just so inspirational. Harriet Tubman to not stay on the sidelines and, I don't want to say complain, but for her to get on the field and do something, right? And so just the courage of always going back and pulling up, she always, went back and leaned and pulled people over. And so I just, find that, to be so brave, and just the mindset that Maya Angelou has with just how she speaks in her words, and how that just words have power. And so I would love to just sit, under her heels and just listen to some of the wisdom that she has. And Jan Levinzant also have so much wisdom, and Jay-Z, of course, with just his business, dealings, and being able to, come from an impoverished background and just elevate, to a high level. Same thing with Tyler Perry, being homeless to, being a billionaire. I would just love to listen to that wisdom.
Yep. And that's deep. That's deep right there. Now, what is something that the average person would not know about you?
Ooh, I've said a lot already.
I know. What's something that the average person, like, they don't know this?
Well, I co-authored a book a few years ago called Master Your Journey. Yes, it was about 11 of us, and I had my chapter. So I would say that is something that people would not know about me. But what I do want people to know about me is I chair the Tampa Bay Leadership Council for UNCF, and we fundraise for scholarships and to bring awareness to that platform. And so if you want to give back and invest, I would definitely highly recommend that you invest in UNCF.
And thank you for that. Y'all make sure y'all donate to UNCF. They fund a lot of people who do attend HBCUs and other schools around the country. Now, Gilene, what is your favorite productivity hack? Like, what's that one thing that you use to get things done?
Oh my goodness. So I'm just still old school. And so I just like to write things down.
Yep.
I actually have my planner in front of me.
Yep. Girl, I'm over here taking notes. Like, I'm right there with you. I'm right there.
Yeah. So if I can get it done right now, I will get it. So that's a hack. If it's something that will take me less than 2 minutes and I can get it done now, I just get it done. I just get it out the way.
Yeah.
So that is a hack. And if I can't, it's written down so I do not forget.
There you go. That's writing things down has saved me so much. I tell people, it's not written down, I'll forget it. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. Can you name 3 of the most influential people in your life?
Ooh, the most influential people in my life? That is so hard. I would say my family is, of course, I'm just going to group them all together, but
that's fine. You group them all together.
My family, of course, headed by my mom, would be the most influential, and my children, because your children have a huge influence on you and really all the different decisions that you make. So between my mom, my sister, and my kids, though, that's my biggest influence in my life. My relationship with God really is such a huge influence in my life. And the third is just friends. I have a great circle of friends that are just very influential.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And thank you for opening up about that. I do appreciate that. Last question for you, Gilene. Last question. PB&J or grilled cheese? Which one you got?
Oh my God, grilled cheese all day. And just know that I am the queen of mac and cheese.
Let's go.
I would say a grilled cheese sandwich all day, every day.
Talk to him. That's what's up. That's what's up. And finally, again, Gilene, thank you so much for being a guest on today's podcast. The last thing I need from you is tell everybody where they can find you, how they can get all of this amazing information, and where they can find all of these resources. You got the floor is yours.
Absolutely. And so I would say you can, if you want to connect with me personally, LinkedIn is the best platform to connect with me personally. At Suncoast Credit Union, if you want to know more about the Micro Enterprise Development Program, our Business Center, microloans, and how you are eligible, microloans at suncoastcreditunion.com, or you can go on our website, suncoastcreditunion.com/microloans, to get that information. And if you want to give back to the community, you want to volunteer or invest, you can go to uncf.org/offices, find a North Florida office, and you will find information about UNCF and the Tampa Bay Leadership Council. So that's where you can find me. I'm a ghost I'm on social media, but I'm a ghost. So so there's no point in trying to find me on Instagram or Facebook.
There you go. Find her on LinkedIn.
I'm not going to connect.
There we go. There we go. Gilene, thank you so much again for being a guest. And that's all I got for you, y'all. Like, share, subscribe this episode. And that's all we got. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you so much.